Welcome to Vacuum Wars, and to our review of the MOVA E40 Ultra robot vacuum. It's very similar to the MOVA P10 Pro Ultra, our longtime pick for the best robot vacuum in this range, so we wanted to extensively compare the two in this video. We'll go over the similarities and differences, and see if MOVA's newcomer, the E40 Ultra, can finally dethrone the P10 Pro Ultra as the value champion. So, links in the description, and let's get started. First, the basics. In terms of list price, both of these officially sell for about $499. But in practice, the MOVA P10 Pro Ultra typically sells for about $100 less, while the E40 is right at the $499 mark. So, right out of the gate, the E40 ends up being slightly more expensive than the P10 Pro Ultra. As far as the basics, they both use a single side brush and a single main brush to sweep debris from hard floors and carpets. And they both performed well in that respect. They're also both robot vacuum mop hybrids that use two spinning mop pads fed electronically with water, which apply downward pressure as they clean. Each robot docks at an auto-empty station that not only empties the robot's dustbin into a disposable bag automatically, but also washes the mop pads, dries them, and refills the clean water tank. They both include front-facing obstacle avoidance sensors to recognize and avoid common household objects. And, as mentioned, they're positioned at essentially the same price point. Interestingly, even though the P10 Pro Ultra is the cheaper option, it actually has more features on paper. For example, it has an extendable side brush that automatically reaches out for corner coverage, which really is a game changer if you care about corner cleaning. It's also the only one of the two that washes its mop pads with hot water instead of cold, and dries them with hot air rather than room temperature air. It even includes a bin self-cleaning feature, which is genuinely useful. Their obstacle avoidance systems are also very different. Along with having an LED light to illuminate dark areas like under furniture, the P10 Pro Ultra uses a combination of a camera and 3D structured light. The E40, on the other hand, relies on what's called a single laser obstacle avoidance system. As we'll see later, that difference definitely showed up in our tests. One of the few things the more expensive E40 has that the P10 Pro Ultra doesn't is fast charging, which MOVA advertises as being about 30% faster. You might be thinking the case for the cheaper P10 Ultra already looks strong, but it gets stronger when you move into the performance tests. Even though the E40 has a higher advertised suction rating, about 19,000 pascals, compared to 13,000 on the P10 Pro Ultra, our measurements showed that the P10 Pro Ultra actually had higher suction and higher airflow. Both robots were solid overall, but the P10 Pro Ultra was clearly stronger, and that advantage showed up in tests like the crevice pickup test, where it performed significantly better than the E40. In several of the practical performance tests, the P10 Pro Ultra came out ahead as well. In our 2.5-inch flattened hair test, designed to mimic stubborn pet hair and carpet, both robots scored below average, but the P10 Pro Ultra was noticeably better. And although both robots advertise anti-hair tangle systems, the P10 Pro Ultra was the only one that actually scored above average there. There was one major test where the MOVA E40 beat the P10 Pro Ultra, and that was the carpet deep clean test. It scored 88% compared to 81% for the P10 Pro Ultra. Both scores are above average, so they're both good performers, but the E40 was the better of the two in that specific test. In terms of mopping ability, they use very similar hardware. Each robot has a spinning mop pad that can extend outward for better edge coverage, and that feature works very well. They also both lift their mop pads automatically when they detect carpet, which they do at around 10.5 millimeters. However, in our stain removal tests, the P10 Pro Ultra won again. In the dried-on stain test, it removed more of the stain, though it used slightly more water, still not enough to be a concern. Their overall mopping scores ended up tied, and both were below average, so this is an area where neither robot excels. But if I had to pick a winner, I'd still give a slight edge to the P10 Pro Ultra, because of its better stain removal result. Obstacle avoidance was another category where the P10 Pro Ultra clearly outperformed the E40. As mentioned earlier, the systems they use are very different, and in our testing, the P10 Pro Ultra recognized 19 of 24 objects, which is above average. The E40 recognized only 5 of 24, which is significantly below average. We also ran navigation and battery tests. Both robots had well above average battery life and covered more square footage per charge than typical. But once again, the cheaper P10 Pro Ultra was noticeably better. A big part of that is navigation speed and efficiency. Our navigation tests showed the P10 Pro Ultra scoring above average, while the E40 came in slightly below average. When you add up all the specs, features, and performance results, The overall picture is pretty striking. The MOVA P10 Pro Ultra, one of our longest-running picks for the best value robot vacuum, currently ranks 18th on the Vacuum Wars Top 20 list, which is the highest-ranking robot vacuum in its price range. The MOVA E40 Ultra, as of this recording, ranks 41st and isn't close to making the top 20. So in the end, I'm not entirely sure who the MOVA E40 is for. There isn't much of a case for spending an extra $100 or so on the E40. If MOVA eventually drops the price significantly, then the comparison might change. But right now, the MOVA P10 Pro Ultra remains the value champion at Vacuum Wars. Links in the description to the MOVA P10 Pro Ultra and the E40, as well as the Vacuum Wars Top 20 list in the pinned comment. And be sure to subscribe to Vacuum Wars before you leave. Thanks for watching.
All of the links in the description are updated regularly to reflect our current favorite vacuums in multiple categories. You'll also find links to the Vacuum Wars website in the description, where we have more detailed lists of our favorite products, like our new Top 20 Robot Vacuums list, which is updated weekly.